going is the word I was looking for. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Main engine cut on. And liftoff of Agora's Rising 3, day number 2, the semifinals between Triangle Formation and Team Volatile. Triangle Formation, as I said, not feeling very confident coming into this. They're the number 1 and number 2 respective of the last 2 events. And Team Volatile, we haven't seen them before, but yesterday, an impressive display. Specifically, and we'll go through the roster real quick, that one, Legion, great Grim play out of him, and O-Main on the Gideon. We know that they have no problem running the Gideon. It actually was banned out against them in one match. So let's go over these rosters in red/orange. It's going to be Nebos on Steel, Pixel on Twin Blast, Leo Grande on Muriel, and as we mentioned, that one Legion on Grim, and O-Main on Gideon.
And for Triangle Formation, guys, we have True on Twin Blast, Defies on Steel, Beacon on Grim, Selwonk on Murdoch, and Suki is on Muriel.
So what were the bans, Sir Notch?
The bans today, I have them written down for you. Let me just pull that up. The bans were... La 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 la. Well, they were written down.
That hero has not yet been implemented.
He is not.
The show choir one.
Team Volatile banned Rampage, and Triangle Formation banned the Decker.
Now, I don't have a formal collegiate education in game design, but I'm pretty sure I just thought of a great hero for Epic there. Someone who uses the power of their voice to do damage. That would be amazing.
That's a bard, my friend.
No, the bard uses instruments.
Well, then,
as well. For you EverQuest players out there, everyone knew in the original EverQuest that bards were horrendously overpowered. You could kite for days. You could float. They were so good. So, guys, the proverbial bumping of the fists in the mid lane. These teams are just trying to feel themselves, as Beyonce would like to say. So generally with these sort of things, we don't really see any hard engagements with level 1. You only have one of your abilities, so you don't have all the tools that you're looking for to initiating team fights. Mostly, the reason they do this is they just want the experience and the card experience from clearing the wave. As I say that, Suki started to go in, got caught in travel mode, but again, I mean, your steel, you only have your shield, you don't have your charge generally. So unless in this wide open environment, very doubtful we're going to see any sort of engagement. More than likely, the team's going to fall to their jungle, wait for the red and blue camps, and kind of see what happens from there.
Yeah, give themselves a little bit of experience clearing out that minion wave and then rotate off. As we saw, they did rotate off to pick up their white camps. Both teams are going to their respective jungles. I don't think we'll see much of a early game engagement here. Blue camps and red camps, your main buff camps, spawn at 2 minutes and 30 seconds. That's 800 card experience for everybody as long as you're all in the range of those kills. And as you can see, Triangle Formation now heading off to their camp, and Team Volatile is already working on their red camp.
That's right. So, for those of you who are concerned about the absence of Giant Chip, he is just out for this weekend. It's a sub, at least that's what I've been told. I'm confident that he'll be back for future events. But yeah, I believe Defy is a sub, and I've seen him play before. He's definitely a comparable sub. So, but obviously, anytime you play with a sub, there's stylistic differences individually with everyone, and so as a team, you have to take that in consideration. We'll see how this plays out once Steel hits level 3, level 5. Look for Steel, at least Steel +1 to roam around. That's something they do very frequently.
So we do see the camps have all picked up. We've got Suki back here. He is placing a Harvester. In the jungles at 3 minutes, Harvesters respawn. Both of these teams are very skilled teams from what we've seen in the past and what we saw from Team Volatile yesterday. Expect Harvesters to play a huge role in these games. It's so much card experience. We saw a lot of teams, they placed them and they went back a couple times to get them, but for the most part, they really weren't prioritized. And yeah. I think we'll see a little bit different from these guys. I think we'll see them every about 5 minutes. Someone will make sure they rotate and drain those, because it is quite a bit of card experience you can get from just standing on the pad for like 4 seconds.
So looking at Pixel's Twin Blast compared to True Untrue, True Untrue, secondary item going into that Impact Hammer. This is very common, a very strong item on your strong card here for your Twin Blast. Instead, Pixel going with the Wind Carver Blade. Very interesting pick if I do say so. Generally, attack speed isn't something you see supplementing on Twin Blast. I've always postulated that one day we're going to see like an attack speed build Twin Blast, because the way that his ultimate scales is with speed, it actually what is more effective with his ultimate? Building into auto attack or building into damage? And Pixel seem to be going a little bit of both here, so we'll see how that plays out, if he continues to build an auto attack, or if this is just some sort of secondary supplemental pickup he's getting with the Wind Carver Blade, or we're going to see that traditional build into the Blade of Agora into something else. And Pixel went, and this is a divergence from what we saw yesterday, Pixel. Before, he went with the very, like, early on cards with the double impact, not the impact hammer, the level one, yeah, and then also just building early game Twin Blast and then transitioning out into the mid game into that Blade of Agora. So already seeing the differences between the two Twin Blast heroes. Ultimately, though, I'm sure it's going to come down to some sort of transition into that Blade of Agora around level 7, get your crit item, and then just start blowing nerds up from there. Muriel and Twin Blast in the right lane. So the thing about Muriel in a lane is she just kind of is there. She can't really push a lane. But at the same time, it's very hard to gank her. So the thing about Muriel is she's a safe lane. You know that you're going to be able to... She almost kind of a guaranteed consistent lane if you put her in a solo position, though. Of course, if it breaks down into a team fight and your Muriel is not level 5, that can go a little awry for you, because if you don't have level 5, that global presence is online. But the reason that you put her in a solo lane is to get her that level 5 as soon as possible. And that's exactly what Triangle Formation is doing here. On the other side of the field, though, we see that little bit of some kind of, I dare say, death ball, but they're definitely grouping up, and the Muriel is in the group rotating around. So if they don't get kills on here on Leo Grande's Muriel, they will find themselves, specifically with their Muriels, behind at that level 5. And when you have level 5 Muriel and the enemy team doesn't, that is a great timing for you to take advantage of that and you know, make some sort of rotation, make a tower push, something along those lines.
Yeah, we are going to see a lot of, I think a lot of lane game. We have heroes on both teams, Murdoch, Grim, and Twin Blast, who really start to excel as we get to that mid to late game gameplay. So we're going to see a lot of laning, especially at a Triangle Formation. You can see them. They've all set up. They're working on getting those last hits. They're working on getting that card experience and making sure they're getting the items they need or the cards they need to power spike, because we can see a lot of power spikes depending on items you have. Beacon has one of my most favoriteest items in the game, ladies and gentlemen. The value for Reaper's Key is
so much value.
Insane. He just picked up a Staff of the Adamant, and he actually just went 3 2-point cast cards in there.
Okay.
So he is actually going to be dealing a little bit of damage now.
A little bit. That's a lot of it.
It's a little bit of damage very early on.
Now, I mean, compare that to the one Legion's Grim, who's going with a little bit more utility with that Sage's Ward, and is putting it up with full minor cast. Now, what's interesting about the Sage Ward is it actually does give you an energy damage upgrade bonus, so there is a benefit to upgrading. Some wards do, some wards don't. And then he also went with that cast token, so a little bit, definitely differences in the builds here. And I talked about it yesterday. Hold on to that thought. Beacon got no Omain. I was gonna say if Omain was level 5, they if Nebo initiated there right away, they potentially could have got a kill on the Beacon. He was just on the fringes outside of his tower. Not gonna happen though. He's gonna be able to get away. Thankfully, if that Gideon wasn't level 5, else Beacon more than likely would have gone down there. But so
Omain actually has the black buff gooch, so watch them to push this tower down.
Ah, they're looking for a timing here. This is what we know Triangle Formation to do. And Team Volatile doing the same thing. True and True's rotating over here. I think they made the call, hey, they have a black buff, I need defense on the tower. Not able to get it. They they have level 5 on their steel, but they don't have level 5 on their Muriel. And as I mentioned, that may have been a problem because Muriel hasn't been put in a solo lane, only level 4, compared to the level 6 of Suki.
Yeah, that level advantage for Muriel is huge. Global presence for Muriel, I mean, we see it when you go after the Prime buff. You put Muriel in a lane, you leave her alone, and then when she needs it, she just ults in and saves the day. So definitely a strong advantage. Leo Grande just hit his 5, so if they were looking for a team fight, unfortunately, both Muriels now have it. I was surprised they actually didn't get that tower down. True on True rotated just in time because the tower is a little bit below half health.
They might go for... Well, they're still hanging out. They're still hanging out.
Right. So the black buff, guys, those of you curious what the black buff does, when you pick that buff up, it actually is a dot or a damage spike to towers. So you will deal not as much as if you had the prime card, but quite a bit of damage to enemy towers. It allows you to push those lanes really easily.
The secondary spawnings of the red and blue orbs, no aggression, no teams wanting to do that quite yet. I think just mostly because, really, this has been a very business-as-usual sort of match. There was that timing push. They weren't able to get what they wanted out of it. They did get some decent damage onto it. I think, really, being able to pick up that black buff, the main goal there is just getting the card experience from it initially. If you can get anything out of it other than that, a.k.a. push down a tower, get any sort of substantial amount of damage on that tower, then that's still a secondary victory in itself. I think early on, being able to say, without having any sort of large advantage, you just got yourself a big kill, or the enemy team is out of position, just kind of arbitrarily pushing down a tower and against a team as formidable as Triangle Formation, they're good enough to where they're going to be able to rotate in time this early on before anything gets down, even if you do have that black buff. So, you know, point being, getting the black buff mainly in the early game is for that extra 800 card experience, because there only is one of them. And it's just, again, farming the map as efficiently as you can. And Team Volatile, taking a look at the numbers, seems to be doing that just a little bit better. I mean, you take a look at Gideon, he's already at card level 18. Everyone else at card level 15. So a very small advantage right there. But we talked about it yesterday. The smallest of early game advantages can really exponentially create much larger ones as the game transitions into the mid and latter stages of the game. So keep an eye out. These teams, they're playing really passive, but my gut is telling me we're going to see something break out pretty soon.
Yeah, expect around that 13 to 15 minute mark is normally when we see teams go after the Gummy Bear boss. That Orb Prime really comes into play for a lot of these teams around that time. So expect them. We should be closer to 20 card points at that moment, and expect to see a lot of posturing and a lot of engagement around that Gummy Bear boss. As you can see, there's tons of sight for both teams. I mean, Triangle Formation has sight. Is that blue is Volatile on my screen? Volatile actually has sight inside of the Gummy Bear boss layer already. So I mean, we'll see some posturing coming up very soon. I'm trying to check the harvesters to see if we've had, because harvesters filled up. Yeah, the harvesters have been collected. So every 5 minutes, the harvesters will actually fill up completely, and that's when we see those teams rotate out.
2 shockwaves now online here for Team Volatile, as opposed to the one of the name Defy just threw me off. I'm like, that's not Chip. As the one of Triangle Formation. So of course, and this is something we saw them run yesterday with the Gideon and the Steel. That's the big strength of both those aforementioned heroes, is their intellect affinity allows them to pick up that shockwave. Still, even though it was changed a little bit, it's still an extraordinarily strong card, and we'll definitely see some coordination, double shockwave, black hole. A lot of control between the Steel and the Gideon. I mean, compare that to the team fight control of Triangle Formation. I mean, Gideon with his black hole makes it very intimidating. It's basically a giant AoE snare. Obviously, there's a damage associated with it, but more so there's the snare associated with it. So really the only sort of crowd control other than Steel, and you don't really use Steel for crowd control per se, you use it kind of to peel and maybe to initiate, but other than that, it's just maybe relying on Beacon's knockaway. I mean, compare that to the 2 snares you have available on the Gideon and the Beacon itself. I had to say, if these team fights go out long, and the initiations aren't on point for Triangle Formation, they might just get kited around, and really, I want to see Team Volatile exploit that.
Yeah, absolutely. The double shockwave is such a nasty card, Gooch. I mean, it's one of those cards when I see it pop up in solo queue, I'm just like, well, this isn't going to go well because we don't have it. It's such a nasty card.
Yeah.
And they have 2 of them. It frightens me now, Gooch. It frightens me now. As you guys can see, again, we started to see a little bit of Nebos has been running in, and both of these Steels have been rotating in and out of the boss layer.
Be careful. He's actually he almost got caught out in travel mode. He was going down there to clear up a ward. Not going to happen, though. Carry on, Notch.
I was just going to say a lot of clearing of the wards. Both these Steels have been rotating through the jungle, and whenever they get to a certain area, it's like they know exactly where the enemy wards are at. They place a ward, and then they clear out the enemy ward, and then they move on. They've both done it multiple times. Vision is so important in this game. If you play solo queue, if you are playing with friends, make sure you pick up wards. Shadow wards, whether it's the 1-point ward or the 3-point, make sure you pick them up. They're so useful. We do have a fight breaking out over here in right lane. Beacon versus that one legend.
Actually, one legend's taking a lot of damage.
He's taking a lot of damage.
Does Beacon have his ult? Doesn't look like he does. No, with Muriel showing up, Beacon made the heads up like, hey, I probably shouldn't ult him because Muriel just shield him right as I do it. Just more than likely some lane harassment. It was a 1v1 sort of situation there. Beacon coming out ahead right there. Or maybe, let me see, did Beacon actually use his ult initially? He didn't. And so, thankfully Muriel was there, else that could have been the first blood. Not going to happen, though. 15 minutes in, these teams are just being both of them being very conservative here. And I think the reason for that is different for each team. Again, Triangle Formation going into this not feeling very confident, unless that was just some sort of reverse psychology coming out from Selwong. when I spoke to him earlier this morning. And Team Volatile, they know that they're on the up and up. They know that they performed really well. They're very mindful of that, but at the same time, they know Triangle Formation's a formidable opponent, and they don't want to get themselves too far ahead of themselves. They don't want to get overconfident and make big misplays. So both of these teams showing respect from each other, but that respect definitely coming from two different places.
Yeah, absolutely. Triangle Formation being so strong the last two events. I mean, we saw some of the best games we've ever seen casting these out of Triangle Formation. Coming in as Team Volatile, you have to be a little bit nervous, especially watching the last events. We know how well these guys play together. We've seen their rotation. We've seen their communication. We know they're a good team. We have to play passively, and that's what we're doing. That's what we see here. 15 minutes in, Gooch, we've got no kills at 15 minutes. They're just worried about getting those card points. If you take, I was comparing Beacon and that one Legend. Beacon just filled up his Agoran Scepter, so he does now have that crit bonus. He also purchased a Rift Mage's Scepter, so he'll start building a little bit more damage and possibly crit in there. And then you look at that one Legend, who also has his Agoran Scepter maxed out with 2-point cards, and he has a cast token. So Beacon has a slight advantage, I believe, if I'm doing the numbers right.
Yeah, he's going to get his crit online just the tiniest bit of time sooner than that one Legend. But when it comes down to it, I mean, it's going to be a very small timing window. I don't think it's really like a large enough of an advantage to where that's going to all of a sudden we're going to see a big switch, or that if we do see a switch of aggression by Triangle Formation, it's not going to be on the shoulders of, oh hey, our Grim has 36% crit, let's go now, you know. But so with that being said, I actually I mean, because the game has been so passive the first 16 minutes with passive games like this, why go with an early game emphasis? You can tell the flow of the game is going to be one where it feels like that this game more than likely isn't going to really start breaking out into the later stages. If I'm a player at that point, I'm going to start having a little foresight and looking forward to maybe I should be carding myself going with the progression that kicks online a little bit later, but I have a little bit of a larger power spike at that time. And I think that one's power spike is going to be significantly larger here in the next 3 to 5 minutes if the game continues this way.
Yeah, I mean, you look at, I'm looking at the builds again, and I'm looking at Sell One, and True. Around 30 card points. Now, 30 card points is just, it's a number a lot of people use, but around 30 card points, when you look at these carries, they start to get more damage. They start filling up their crit. They start filling out the crit bonus cards, and the damage really kicks in. At that point, we're normally around level 10. You've buffed your ultimate twice. You've at level 7, we get our basic attack power increase from talents, and we're going to start to see a damage spike. So I expect a little bit more aggression happening around that 30 card point mark. So the next maybe 2 to 3 minutes. We've had nobody. This is very uncharacteristic.
It is, man.
Formation. They haven't even touched the Gummy Rare boss. We're 17 minutes, almost 18 minutes into the game, and there's been no action around this Prime Orb, and we see it about the 13 to 15 minute mark.
I mean, when it comes to having switches on your roster, again, we don't know, we're seeing varying things in chat, but with Defy being the main warrior player here, as I mentioned, when you have stylistic differences between individuals, it really changes the dynamic of a team overall, the overall play style, everything like that, and we're seeing that right now through Triangle Formation. I mean, they've gotten themselves this far. This is the first time we've seen them with this particular roster, but you can tell that they definitely are coming into this with a different, just a different game plan than we've seen before. Before, it was all about calculated aggression, early on aggression, and very sort of small little tactile plays. Then they always had something to...
Suki out over here, Gooch. I just wanted to point that there was Suki got very, very low. That one Legend was able to deal quite a bit of damage to Suki. Unfortunately, Suki was able to get out, but he's still caught.
Is there a GT? No, it's a Muriel. He's just going to shield. He knows better than that. If that was any other hero, more than likely that one would have...
That would have been a dead hero.
Yeah. No, well, that one wouldn't have died.
Wow, there was a lot. That one Legend...
Oh, he actually uses it? Is it going to hit? Is it going to hit him? Is it going to go across the map? I don't know. The shield is there. It looks like it is going to hit him with the big black hole. This is exactly what we were talking about. The first blood coming out there. Both Muriels are down, but that black hole was huge right there in the small choke points of the jungle. I don't know if that GTFO carried all the way across the map. I was looking for it. I'm not sure if Suki knew that was coming after him, but he did fortunately shield himself fortuitously, or not. And finally, something goes down all of a sudden in the middle of the map. Omain got a huge black hole. A tower did get pushed down for Beacon, and as I was, actually that was that one pushed down that tower. So that was actually a 4v5 triangle formation lost, and they lost the right tower. Team Volatile looking pretty good. The first exchange of this match is well in their favor here.
I don't know if that ability actually hits that far when it goes out of range like that. I did not see the animation hit him.
He took a huge amount of damage, like he shielded himself, and then all of a sudden he got chunked down. So I'm not sure either way. That would have been really funny if Suki ulted and then all of a sudden Ryze landed, he just died. But
I know Nebos, and he might have got hit by the Nebos ult, and of course jumping into the Omain ult.
Yeah,
where that damage could have come from. But if that would have hit, I mean, talk about. Everyone was saying the ult was overpowered. Now it follows you all the way across the map. GG, boys.
Definitely gonna have to go back to the replay and watch that one. We'll maybe if we have some extended downtime, we're able to do something like that. So, Team Volatile, man, they Gideon, Omain always get such value out of these black holes, and that was huge right there.
Is amazing.
Yeah, he always gets so much value out of these black holes. That double shockwave with the control of the black hole Gideon is so strong. I mean, and what can in an enclosed environment like that inside of the jungle? If I was triangle formation, I would say I don't ever want to take a fight in our jungle. The only time I want to take a fight is wide open, so we can exploit the fact that we have 3 rangers, kind of spread ourselves out into a U formation or a umbrella formation, not maybe a triangle formation. You guys saw where I was going with that, and exploit the fact that in a wide open environment, triangle formation, I think they have the favor. But in very big choke points, you know that's where Team Volatile are going to be looking to take these team fights. And triangle formation, they didn't respect that. They got rotated on and got punished for it. Now in left lane, we are seeing triangle formation trying to push down this left lane tower. They got to be careful, though. The GTFO is on a true on true. Selwong's actually taking tower damage. Omain's going forward. There's a shockwave in a black hole. Beautiful. The mirror ult going down to Omain, but Selwong, thankfully, he got that speed boost from Suki. Else that could have been the death of him. That was a big play by Omain. Oh no, that's not what we're looking for. Defy lands a defensive ult onto 2. The devastating blast is there. Actually looks like it hit more creep than anything else. One Legion coming up. Defy's got to charge out of there. And there is a tier 1 tower here, thankfully, so the push is going to stop. That was a very back and... Oh no, Selwonk! He's got to get himself back. There is no GTFO. We saw that one use it a little bit early on in the team fight. So with triangle formation having to head back to the base with the tail tucked in between their legs, I would like to see Team Volatile push down a tower, get aggressive, and they're rotating. They're going in there. They recognize that they're low. They recognize that the red orb is being taken. They heard it. They know what's going on. Here comes Nebos. Triangle formation. They saw it. They know the vision. They know what's up. The red camp was taken. So their triangle formation was able to take the red camp, get that experience, and get the hell out of the dodge by the time that Team Volatile was able to do anything. So a very close exchange. Could have gone either way. But right now, this game's still... Yeah.
Great rotation by Team Volatile. The Winions over here, though, for Triangle Formation, are pushing down a tier 1 tower. So that should fall for favor of Triangle Formation. Did they get the tier 1 on the other side, on Prime Lane?
Yeah, so right lane is down for Triangle, being pushed in by Triangle Formation. Team Volatile has the 2 lateral towers down. They've pushed down Triangle Formation. Team Volatile has... or no, you're right. Yeah, Team Volatile has pushed down 2 of the towers of Triangle Formation on the left and right lane. So Triangle Formation is missing their left and right tower. In case if you guys are wondering, there is a little bit of a mix, a bug on Notch's end, so there's a color mix. Well, the
towers actually aren't falling either, Gooch. So all of the towers are up on my screen, and the colors are backwards.
Yeah, you definitely got to look into that, man. We'll figure that out at some other point. Mid tower gets taken out here. Now all tier 1 towers are down for Triangle Formation. And when you're in this sort of situation where you're down 2 to 3 card points, I wouldn't say it's negligible, but at the same time, Triangle Formation, they definitely are still in this match. But when it comes to the hyper late game, I mean, is Triangle Formation, what's the game plan here? There's 2 different ways you can come into this with this approach when you're in this position where you know you're behind in map control, you know behind in card experience, and you really haven't been able to take any team fights on your own terms. We have 3 Rangers, our opponent only has 2. Gideon, this is when he's strong, is in that middle part of the game, and kind of the later parts of the mid and the early parts of the late game, he gets a lot of value as well. But if we approach a situation where we are post 30, post 45 minutes, the strength of the triple ranger, triple carry on the side of Triangle Formation, that's something that they could bet on. they can either bet on and play conservative, continue to turtle up and just defend against pushes, don't give up your inhibitors, and then wait for them to just max out 3 Rangers on 60 card points. Or they could do something a little bit more decisive and say, we're behind, we need to do something right now.
They're actually pushing a tier 2 tower right now.
But they're giving up the Prime Orb for this, so this is going to come down to there's multiple ways that they can play this out. Looks like that Nebos is running back to that side of the map, but he actually, I don't know about this. He's running by himself. It looks like Nebos is going to try to run this in by himself. The tier 2 tower is going to stay alive. This might, even if he gets this turn in, Triangle Formation knows what's up. They're already heading to that turn, and Nebos is completely by himself.
He's going to get it, it looks like.
If someone can ult him and get him in Travel and Root form, he's not going to be able to. So he's going to get the turn in, but will he be able to survive until the rest of his team shows up? I'm not entirely sure. He might have just gone in and suicide for this. Yeah, he's probably dead.
You have the rest of his team is coming up now. Pixel and don't forget the Muriel. With multiple shockwaves, you have a Muriel ult. He very well could survive this engagement.
The collapse is coming. The collapse is coming. Pixel's over there. Here comes Leo Grande. The Muriel is there. Are they going to try to re-engage on this? Nebo is actually able to get out. Triangle Formation didn't commit. They didn't use any ultimates or anything like that, so they're going to let him get away. And yeah, Prime card now activated here for Team Volatile. That small lead they had, that only engagement we've seen that favors them is just continuing to build and build and build. I feel like with just the way that Triangle Formation is playing this game thus far, you got to believe that they're just betting on the hyper late game. Let's continue to play conservative. Let's continue to turtle, and just make it to that point where everyone's at card point 60 and their draft by default has an advantage.
Right. There was no clear lane advantage for Team Volatile, so the likelihood of them actually being able to push a tower down safely, not having creeps with them, was very small at that point. They are going to rotate mid. They're pushing out this mid lane a bit with these creeps to try and get this tier 2 tower. Are we going to see? We do already see Triangle Formation rotating over, and we may start seeing the defense of this. But it's so risky, man. The Prime Orb it's such a power spike when you turn this in.
Oh yeah.
It does 300% damage to minions, 300% extra damage to towers. It's such a power spike.
Beacon
GTFO was actually just
yeah. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure why he used that. That seemed just kind of like a haphazard use. There's a Muriel there. It got body blocked as well. So you can body block the GTFO. I'm not sure if that's intended or not. But at this point in time, you're able to body block the ultimate coming out from the Grim right there, and you just kind of used it just to use it. I think
it was they used Selwonk used his ultimate and actually chunked Leo Grande quite a bit, and then Beacon came out with a GTFO.
Look at Omain's position. Look at Omain's position. He's looking for a flank. I don't know if Triangle Formation know he's there. Beacon is kind of wrapped right around this left part of the area. Omain's been revealed. I thought he was going to go in there and look for initiation. Not going to be the case. Slow siege. That's what I was talking about. Omain's going in. He's getting aggressive on Beacon. The snare is there. Shockwave up into the black hole. Huge amounts of damage. That Prime card. The shield from Beacon. He's able to get alive. Forced out the reversal of fortune. Here comes that secondary initiation. Oh, the beautiful right click from Beacon. He was able to completely negate the steel ultimate. That is the strength of Grim. He can do things like that. But now they're diving an inhibitor. This could go Ari. They already take down Beacon. They got Beacon down. They're able to get away to safety. That was, I don't know, I think right there, Beacon was just simply out of position. He didn't respect the fact that Gideon was right there waiting for that initiation. The beautiful shockwave in the black hole set up the follow-up from the steel. And now with no Beacon, with no Grim on the map, this is definitely going to be the mid lane inhibitor. And Team Volatile, man, this is what I was talking about. I feel like Triangle Formation is just laying down. They're playing too passive. If they wanted to go to that hyper late game, they can't just give up an inhibitor at this point. The map is now going to be in firm control, Team Volatile. Wait for the next Orb Prime, take out the Harvesters, take map control, and just continue to look for rotations and timings with your heroes to just continue to push these lanes in.
Yeah, I actually don't mind the play of them giving up the towers here. This will give them the ability to farm experience. Yes, they have to protect this mid lane quite a bit, but they're looking for that late game. You've said it multiple times. Now they're going to have, again, maybe one or two people in that mid lane, killing minions that were stronger than before, getting that experience, farming back up. I love it. I'm hooked on it. They're going to be killing the super minions. Getting that experience. It's just, I feel like they have to play late game. They have 3 heroes that rely mid to late game, and they're coming up to those. We're looking at right around 40 card points for most of these heroes. Crit damage has been built for Selwonk. True Untrue is working on it with his. Well, he doesn't have it yet. Yeah, I think maybe his Red Eye Nitro is where he'll start building, or he'll sell that. But you know, I think we'll start seeing them play a little bit more aggressively. Hopefully here soon, because they are playing quite passive. And I want to talk
is
about
by himself in the jungle. He's gonna be okay. Go ahead, Notch.
I want to talk about the combo of the ultimates on the side of Team Volatile.
They did it yesterday, man. It's so good.
It's incredible. They're comboed so well. They don't miss. They know who they're. Everyone. Well, you're not getting the value out of that steel ult. No, they were trying to take Beacon out. If it wasn't for the Muriel ult, Beacon would have died
Instantly.
3 seconds, 4 seconds sooner.
Yeah.
And they may have been able to push a little bit harder because the inhibitor was still, you know, multiple steps behind the enemy team. But the way they combo these ultimates is absolutely amazing to watch.
So Beacon, I think just Grim is very easy to exploit that. His only defensive capability is his reflect. His deflect, rather, not a reflect, his deflect, which we saw was used on the Steel ultimate. Very well timed. But at that point, he already took so much damage, he was just simply caught out of position. And we saw that yesterday from other Grim players. The only one who really hasn't made that mistake is the one. I mean, we've complimented on his ability, his Grim play ability. More so his just positioning has been phenomenal. I don't think he's ever been really caught out once. So Beacon just, maybe after that, maybe he's learned his lesson. I certainly hope so, because if he continues to get caught out like that, he's just going to die in these team fights early on. Muriel can only do so much, especially because A, Muriel receives some nerfs. Her shields don't mitigate as much damage as they used to. And more importantly, her shields really fall off. They don't scale into the late game as strong as the other carries and other damage abilities do. So now that we're in the 30-plus minute, Muriel isn't going to be that. You can't play with this mindset of, oh, I have a Muriel, I can just do whatever I want. If I make a positional mistake, I'm fine. Now you have to be much more cognizant of your positioning, and that's it's a psychological stress that can sometimes cause teams and individual players to make mistakes that they otherwise wouldn't. So Muriel is no longer as effective. And Triangle Formation really has to take that into consideration, or else they're just going to get picked apart right here by the strong control initiation of the Gideon and the Steel. And that's exactly what's happened. And if they don't get in shape, that's going to continue what's going to happen.
We do see Beacon here mid lane. Beacon has been he's now on mid lane duty, dealing with these minion waves. Is he rotating off to do a team fight here?
Yeah, they know that the Orb Prime, that they're around the Orb Prime. They haven't started it yet. So maybe just trying to bait this out. Omain and Nebos, the two big initiators and control heroes, are in the front line. Meanwhile, we do an Xbox 360 and turn around 180 degrees and see they are taking this. So zone control is what's happening right now. Nebos and Gideon are just sitting here delaying them. They know that they can get away if they get initiated on here, but they're just zoning out for the rest of their team. I love this. This is their two strong control heroes. This is their two strong initiating heroes, and we have to see a commitment from Triangle Formation. The Prime Helix picked up right now. Triangle Formation, they weren't able to get there in time to really do much. Omain is in a little bit of trouble. Don't forget there's a Muriel. There's a Shockwave into the Steel Ultimate. The dunk is actually good. Knocks Cellwonk away, but that's not what you're looking for. Omain is going to be able to go to the top. Can still get away, though. He doesn't. He's using the Rift as well. Beautiful. Great usage of the Gideon Rift right there, the torn space to get yourself the hell out of dodge. Cellwonk, he's on the aggressive. He's looking for Omain. Omain recognized what was going on, but he's not in travel mode anymore. We're at this stage. Cellwonk does a lot of damage. He's going to need a Muriel. He's going to need help. He's going to be able to get away now. Cellwonk's in a little bit of trouble, but the rest of his team, quick in pursuit behind him. One Legion taking chunking out. Muriel's shield is there as well. They're going hard on one Legion. As I've just said, one Legion need to be careful about his positioning. There's a 3-man stall. Trying to turn this around, but this is a 4v5. There is no Grim on the field for Team Volatile. Just have to be very careful. This situation is volatile indeed. And Triangle Formation, they gave up the Prime Helix. They got a kill, though, onto the Grim, down for 40 seconds, so they have a little bit of room to maneuver. They have a little bit of time to huddle up, figure out what is our next play. How are we going to deal with the inevitable push down in the left lane, while at the same time dealing with the fact that we have an inhibitor down in our mid one, so a little bit of breathing room.
Core is almost at 50% right now, Gooch. Core took a lot of damage from the super minions while they were defending or fighting at that Prime Orb down there. We're at like 60% on that core at this moment.
It's a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. They wanted to not give up the Prime Helix. I mean, and I don't think sure they got the Grim there. They got that one, the one Legion's Grim, but giving up a lot of damage onto your core, losing even more map control that you already didn't have in the first place, and giving up the Prime Helix. That just simply wasn't worth it for Triangle Formation. They needed several kills. They needed to steal the Prime Helix. They needed to get more of that exchange. But with that being said, I mean, the inhibitor should be spawning back here in a couple of minutes. if they can, yeah, a couple of minutes. I meant to say a couple of seconds. The the inhibitor is back up, so the core took damage, but it can't get backdoor anymore. But at this stage of the game, with the Prime Helix activation pending here for Team Volatile, they are starting to group up and posture maybe to turn that in here. But if they get that Prime Helix turned in, all they need to do is auto attack that inhibitor 2 or 3 times from the Rangers, and it's going to fall. They're getting the black buff as well. You can tell they're suiting up here. They're looking to do the dance on that inhibitor lane. And this is going to be this hold right here is going to be vital for triangle formation.
They've already turned in the Prime Orb.
Yeah.
I mean,
I missed that. Okay, they already did.
Yeah, he did. Pixel ran all the way over and turned it in while the engagement was going on. And so he's got the Prime Orb turned in. They just picked up the black buff. They're worried about clearing sight out of the jungle here. But if you look at the card score, Triangle Formation is not that far behind.
Yeah, they're really not. Like 2 to 3 card levels. It's map control is where they're behind. So it's not a... they're behind, but if they can continue to... I mean, I'm surprised they survived that inhibitor being down. If they can survive this Prime card push with the black buff as well, then the momentum might start to slowly but surely swing in their favor. Team Volatile, though, I think they know that they're under a little bit of a time constraint here. The longer this game goes, the more the more that their Gideon's going to fall off, and the more that they're going to have to be concerned of just getting blown up in these team fights with that triple Ranger composition.
Yeah, we're going to see they've done a really good job defending their lanes. As you can see, lane control is minus mid lane that's being pushed down right now. Lane control is in favor of triangle formation. They've got creep waves spread out the farthest, which is very good. So they're going to focus here on this inhibitor. If this inhibitor goes down mid lane, Gooch, that's 8 minutes respawn.
Yeah.
And that is definitely one step closer to victory for Team Volatile. 8 minutes is such a long time to defend. 5 minutes is doable, but we get to the 8-minute mark, especially with coming up on 60 card points, which Team Volatile will hit a little bit before triangle formation. You have to worry about that insane spike in damage once you have all your cards maxed out.
Here comes the push. The mid inhibitor. The defense is there. Beacon, don't get caught out again. He's in that very similar situation, very similar formation. Double shield wall going down. The inhibitor is there. And the push is here. Omain forced to use his rift very early, but I think they're just trying to chunk away at the inhibitor. They know how much damage. There's an initiation coming up from triangle formation. Don't forget, triangle formation does have their prime card. Pixels in trouble. They blow him up. They blow him up. Beacon takes him down, and this is looking great for triangle formation. They already took one down. Omain using the reversal of fortune. Man, that's what I was talking about. This is what I was afraid of. Gideon, he falls off in the later stages of the game, and due to the triple ranger composition, he just got destroyed. He uses the black hole, but he didn't respect the fact that he was completely set up by himself. That may have been just a tactic to allow his team room to get away, but that wasn't going to be enough. Triangle formation, they successfully defend the inhibitor against a prime card push. I have to say now, triangle formation, they may have just swung this game into their favor on the heels of that team fight right there.
Look at left lane, Gooch. Look at how many creeps they have in this lane. If I was them, I would rotate. We do see the rotate starting to head this way. It's going to be 3 versus 2. They should be able to take this inhibitor down, especially with the amount of damage that these guys are going to do this late in the game to this inhibitor. We got Beacon, True on True, and Defies marching up this lane, and they're going to be defending or pushing against that one legend who's on Grim and Leo Grande who is on Miro. This tower should fall relatively easily. Yeah,
the swing of events. We talked about it all game, how triangle formation could get to this stage. They're going to be in a very favorable spot, and they are officially, when it comes to map control, in a very strong lead. Card experience is pretty much all but negligible. One to 2 card levels at this stage of the game is just outright negligible. And with that lane being pushed down, that left inhibitor being pushed down, triangle formation's done it. They gave up. They bend, but they didn't break. And with that being said, though, the control is still there from Team Volatile. But Omain on that Gideon, he has to be much more... He has to take into consideration that he's pretty much he's just a walking glass doll right now. And if his black holes, he can't be the primary source of initiation as he was in the early stages of the game, right? Think a la Kerrigan from Heroes of the Storm. Early on, you can go in almost haphazardly and just initiate into the team fight because you have that shield. The damage from your late game heroes hasn't scaled up now, but now that's the case. The play style, the overall dynamic of playing Gideon in the 30-plus minute, almost upwards of 40 minutes play here, is you have to be very, very passive, and you have to be very, very controlled with your aggression. Don't use your black hole until the team fight's already broken out, until you're trying to clean up stragglers, or you know you're in a situation where they can't just focus you, and take you out. And that's exactly what happened in that last exchange underneath the inhibitor.
Yeah, Pixel just pushed out the left lane all the way to the second tower because they know they have super minions or minions that were stronger before in this lane. He pushed it all the way out so they could focus on doing something different at this time. They're not committing that one person to the defense of their left lane, or it would be their right lane from where they're looking at the map. But they're not focused on the defense of that. I think we're going to see a lot of posturing. The Orb Prime boss is up.
Yep.
So they were coming to defend this. They know Triangle Formation likes the Gummy Bear boss. They know there's an inhibitor down in that lane.
And they're already setting up for the same thing. They already have Steel and Gideon set up right here. Though, if I was Triangle Formation, they already know that this happened last time. Oh, Pixel, Defies running around. I think they know about it. Team Volatile knows about it. This might not work out if Defies gets caught out. Might not work out. He is going to be able to get away, thankfully. If he got rooted up there, that could have been disaster. A little bit. So these teams just posture around and trying to find maneuverability. We saw Steel and Gideon in this area right here trying to zone out. And the commitment from Team Volatile, they after losing that last team fight, I feel like now they're walking around, you know, before they were bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and now I feel like they're just tails tucked between their legs. They're afraid to really do anything, and they're pretty much going to have to give this up. Gideon has been relegated to cleaning up the creep in the left lane. And Triangle Formation with the activation of this Prime card, having almost almost completely farmed Rangers. I'm not sure if Team Volatile has what it takes to win this game in this late-game scenario.
It's going to be close. We've seen that they won yesterday very decisively. This has been a much different match than we've actually seen out of Triangle Formation. We're used to seeing Triangle Formation be the team that is very aggressive. They've played passively for the past 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And about 30-ish minutes, 35 minutes, they started coming on. We saw them starting to make really solid engagements, especially under that inhibitor defense. When you have the Prime Orb, or when the enemy team had the Prime Orb, they were able to defend well, get a really good team fight out of them. And they're now moving forward with this Prime Orb. This is such a huge moment for Team Volatile. If they do not defend this Prime Orb, having that inhibitor down and the Prime Orb activated, if you lose one or two heroes, it could be GG.
They could just almost just like SM work the core. They go full face. They don't care about board control. They don't care about map control. They just go right against the core with triple Rangers and Prime card. Like, there's no, I mean, it's so hard to defend that with the way the scaling is, and it doesn't even matter about crit because you don't crit the buildings, right? Especially they could also fall back and get the black buff, which I believe they actually got. No, it's about the respawn. So the black buff is spawning in 20 seconds. They are hanging out in this area. Are they gonna get the black buff now? They're gonna go for the Prime activation and then get the black buff. I think right now with the way the black buff scales, they don't even need it. As long as you have that Prime card, you can just push Team Volatile up against the ropes. They kept trying to find that one knockout blow. They kept trying to find and knock him down on the map, but never could keep him down for 10 seconds. Speaking going down, the Devastating Blast looks like it looked like it hit on my screen, but no one's health moved. Either Muriel's shield went down or anything like that. You can tell that what they're trying to do is use the Devastating Blast. That's what I'm talking about. Main's got to be careful. The primary initiation is beautiful. The black hole, they're all getting sucked in. They're getting sucked into another dimension. Someone's in a lot of trouble. The reverse of fortune isn't there. And Team Volatile is able to turn this around just by the fact that their team is just pouring this late game. That control is what we talked about. They needed to get that black hole initiation into the Steel Ultimate. They absolutely nailed it. And by nailed it, I mean they dropped the hammer onto it and have potentially secured themselves the game, but not quite yet. They got to be careful. Suki's getting chased by Main. I don't know if that's the person you want to be chasing right now. Who has the Prime Helix? Who has the Prime Helix?
Defy
has it. He still has it, but he can't turn it in. The chase is on. Nebulous is trying to get him. Pixel, he's trying to flank him around. Can they get the root? They're looking for the root. Defies knows that he's going to be in a lot of trouble here. His shield is down. His charge is down. Muriel does not have her ultimate. Muriel's nowhere to be found. She's by the turn, but it doesn't matter. Defi's going to die. He's going to give up the Prime Helix, and this is going to be Team Volatile able to pick up the Prime Helix and potentially end this game. Now, with that being said, the 3 Rangers of Triangle Formation are going to be up here in 30 seconds, so this might not be the game. But Team Volatile, you better believe that they're going to try to go for the throat right here, Josh.
You've got 4 people down. You've got a creep wave coming middle. Take out this middle inhibitor. That's an 8-minute respawn. There goes the middle inhibitor.
Yeah.
8 minutes before that respawn. Leo Grande is going to capture this.
He's a mirror. He just ult in. This is beautiful. I love this play from Team Volatile. What a heads-up display right there. Muriel, go turn it in and then ult in here. We're going to go for the core. We're going to try to take this game. I don't know how they're doing it. There's a secondary initiation deal on a Cellwalk. Cellwalk's knocked up. Can he keep himself alive? The Muriel shot is there. Doesn't even matter. The core goes down by the time they can even blink. And Team Volatile living up to their name. Main